Okay, and Book 19 of the Odyssey by Homer. How the old nurse knew her master. So again, Odysseus' revenge tour, just in full force. And last chapter, Odysseus was just in his place with all the hooligans and just telling them what's what. And I guess this is afterwards. And heard about one of the two main characters that Odysseus had on his staff at old Casa Odysseus, and one of them was the swineherd Eumaeus. I think that's how you say his name. And apparently, we're going to learn about another one. This old nurse who knew her master. So Odysseus was left in the hall, brooding over his vengeance with Athena in his thoughts. He spoke at once to Telemachus and gave him clear directions. All the arms must be put in the storeroom, he said. If anyone misses them and asks questions, answer as civilly as you can. I have put them away out of the smoke. We can see now they are not what they were when Odysseus went to Troy. They are quite spoilt by the fumes from the fire. Yes, and there is another thing I have just thought of. Yes, and there is another thing I have just thought of. Suppose the wine should go into your heads. You may quarrel together and disgrace your dinner, and you're wooing both. You know the saying, bare steel in sight draws men to fight. Telemachus listened, and calling his nurse Euryclee, that might be Euryclee. That's easier to say. Euryclee, he said to her, Nanny, shut up the women in their rooms, and I am going to put away father's fine armory. All the things are hanging about neglected since he went away, and the smoke is spoiling them. I am not a child now, you know. I want to put them away where the fumes from the fire will not reach them. The old nurse answered, Aye, my love, I only wish that brush up thy wits to take charge of the house and all that's in it. Come now, who shall go fetch a light for thee? The maids might have done it, but they mustn't move out of their rooms. The boy said, A strange man will do. No one shall be idle who touches my ration basket, if he has come from a long way off. The nurse did not understand the secret of what he said, but she locked the doors of the women's rooms. Then Odysseus and his sons sprang up and carried away helmets and bossy shields and sharp spears. Pallas Athena went before them with a golden lamp and made a brilliant light. Telemachus said, O father, here is a wonderful thing which I see with my own eyes. Really and truly, I can see the walls of the rooms, and the fine panels and the pine wood rafters and lofty pillars, all clear to my eyes as if a fire were blazing. Surely one of the gods who rule the broad heavens is in this place. Odysseus answered, Be silent. Check your fancies and ask no questions. This is the way of the gods who rule Olympus. Now go and lie down. Leave me alone here, for I want to tease the maids and your mother a little more, and she will ask me everything amid showers of tears. So Telemachus went along under the torchlight to lie down in his room, where he always used to rest. There he remained until dawn. But Odysseus was left in the hall brooding over his vengeance, and thinking of Athena's promise. Now Penelope came from her chamber, beautiful as Artemis or golden Aphrodite. A fine couch was put ready for her, a work of Icmelius, the master craftsman, inlaid with spirals of ivory and silver. It had a footrest attached, and a thick fleece was laid upon it. There sat Penelope. All the maids came in and cleared away bread and tables and cups. They emptied the braziers on the floor and filled them again with wood for light and warmth. Then Melantho rated Odysseus once more. Still here, you stranger? Go make yourself a nuisance all night, rolling about the house and oogling the women? Get out of this, you creature, and be thankful for your dinner, or a firebrand shall help you on your way. Odysseus frowned and said, My good woman, why do you attack me with such bitterness? Because I am dirty and ragged and go begging about the town? I can't help that. Beggars and vagrants are all like that. I had once a house. A house of my very own in the world. I was happy and rich, and often gave to a homeless man, whoever he might be and whatever he wanted. I had my thousands of serfs, and plenty of all that men enjoy when they have the name of riches. But Zeus Cronion brought me to ruin, for that was his will, no doubt. Some day, maybe you will lose all the finery which now marks you out from the others. Maybe your mistress will take offense and vent her anger upon you. Or Odysseus may come home, for there is room for hope still. But if he is really dead, if he will never come back, his son is here now, his son Telemachus, by Apollo's grace, and like his father. He will not fail to see if it is one of the women takes... Whoa. He will not fail to see it if one of the women takes liberties, for he is a man now. Penelope heard this. Penelope heard this, and scolded the woman. You may be sure, you bold girl, that I notice your impudence. You shall wipe it off on your own head. You know perfectly well, I told you myself, that I was going to question the stranger here in the hall about my husband, for I am sorely distressed. Then she called to the housewife. Eurynome, fetch a chair and lay a rug on it for the stranger. Let him sit there and tell me his tale and listen to me, for I want to question him. The housewife hurried off and brought the chair, and the rug, and Odysseus patiently seated himself. Then Penelope spoke. Stranger, she said, I will begin myself by asking you this question. Who are you? What is your country and your family? Odysseus must have all his wits about him now. Oh, yeah, now. He began as follows. My lady, no one in this wide world could find fault with you. Your name resounds to the heavens, like the fame of a noble king, a God-fearing man who rules over a mighty nation and upholds justice, while the black soil yields him barley and wheat. His trees are heavy with fruit, the sheep wean their young unfailing, and the sea provides fish, for he is a good ruler, and the people prosper under him. Then ask me anything else you will, now I am in your house. But do not ask my family and my country, and fill my heart yet with more sorrow when I remember. I am a man of many sorrows, but I must not sit grieving and lamenting in another man's house. Eternal lacrimation is a sorry occupation. The servants might not like it, nor you perhaps yourself. They might think me a drunken man, all afloat in tears. Ah, no, said Penelope. All my comeliness and my good looks are gone. The immortals took them from me when the army embarked for the war, and my husband with them. If that man would return and care for me, my name and fame would be better for it. But now I am in distress. See what trouble fate has poured upon me. All the chief men of the islands, from Declician to Sammy and Woody Zacynthus, and all my Zacynthus, that's Zacynthus, and all my neighbors in Ithaca want to take me for a wife against my will, and they are wasting my house. So I take no heed of strangers or suppliants, or public heralds with their messages, but I pine away with longing for my husband. These men are in a great hurry, but I wind my schemes on my distaff. First there was the shroud. Some kind of spirit put it into my head to set up a web on my loom, a great web of my finest thread. Then I said to them, my good young men, you want me for a wife now? Odysseus is dead, and you are in a hurry. But wait until I finish this cloth, for I don't want to waste the thread I have made for it. This is to be a shroud for my lord Laertes. When the fate of dolorous death shall take him off. I would be sorry to have a scandal among our women if he should lack a shroud. When he had all those great possessions. After that, I used to weave the web in the daytime, but in the night I unraveled it by torchlight. For 3 years I kept up the pretense, and they believed it. But when the 4th year came round, the maids let out the secret, shameless things who cared nothing, and they came and caught me, and there was a great to-do, so I had to finish that, because I must, not because I would. After that, I used to weave... Whoa, I used to weave the web in the daytime, around by torchlight. It was great to nothing. Because I must, not because I would. And now I cannot avoid marriage. I cannot think of anything else to try. My parents urge me to marry and have done with it. My son chafes because they are eating everything up. He notices things now, and he is already quite man enough to manage a house which Zeus favors with some credit. But never mind. Tell me who you are and where you come from. Your father was not a tree or a stone, as they say. Odysseus answered, Much honored lady of Odysseus, Laertiades, must you still ask my father's name? Well, I will tell you. Indeed, you will make me more wretched than I was, for that is the way of things when a man has been away from his native land as long as I have, after wandering all over the world and suffering much tribulation. Well, never mind. I will tell you what you ask. There is a land called Crete, lying in the middle of the sea, with nothing but water all round it, and a fine, rich place it is. There are 90 cities, and people are infinite in number, and they speak different languages. Some are Achaeans, some are Eteocritans, a proud people who claim to be the true Cretan stock. Some are Sidonians, and there are Dorians with long hair, with long flowing hair, and the splendid Pelasgians. One of the cities of Knossos. One of the cities is Knossos, a great city where Minos, the 9-year king, held sway. No one knows what this. No one knows what this means. No one knows what this means. The most plausible suggestion is that he held his power for periods of 9 years, but it refers to some lost story. Odysseus thus hints that his own story is a fabulous yarn. A fabulous yarn, and a fabulous yarn it is. Who whispered sweet nothings in the ear of Zeus. He was the father of a proud Deucalion. My father, Deucalion, had 2 sons, myself and Prince Idomeneus, who went in the fleet to Ilion with the royal princes. My own name is known as Aethon, and I was the younger son. My elder brother was the better man. In that city I saw Odysseus and entertained him in proper style. He also was on his way to Troy, but the force of the wind drove him out of his course past Malay to Crete. He escaped the storm with difficulty and managed to get into the dangerous harbor of Amnisus, where is the cave of Eletheia. Then he went up to the city and asked for Idomeneus, who he said was the honored friend of his family, but it was already 9 or 10 days since Idomeneus had sailed for the war. So I took him into my house and entertained him handsomely. I made much of him, I spared nothing of my own store, and I made a public collection of provisions and wine for his fleet, and fat oxen to their heart's content. They stayed with us 12 days, for they were kept there by a strong north wind. Even on shore they could not stand on their feet, the devil was in that wind. The next day the wind fell, and they sailed. He made his long invention seem just like the truth as he had told it. And her tears flowed while she listened. As the snow melts on the mountain tops, which the west wind has brought and the southeast wind has melted. Cheeks melted, and as it melts, the running rivers are filled. So her fair cheeks melted, and the tears ran down in sorrow for the husband who was there by her side. Odysseus from his heart pitied his weeping wife, but he kept the eyes under his eyelids, hard as a horn or iron without a quiver, and stealthily hid his own tears. When she had enjoyed a good cry, she said to him again, "Now I will give you a test, my good stranger, and see if you really did entertain my husband in your house as you say. Tell me what clothes he wore, and what he looked like, and who was with him." Odysseus answered, "My lady, that is hard to say after all this time, for it is 20 years since he sailed away from my country. But I will tell you what I can see before mind's eye. Odysseus had on a thick purple robe, double over. It was fastened by a brooch of wrought gold, with 2 sheaths for the pins. It had an ornament in the front, a dog holding a speckled fawn in his forepaws and gripping his struggling prey. It was wonder of all beholders how he gripped the fawn by the throat, and the fawn struggled with its feet to get free, yet both were made of gold. I noticed the tunic your husband wore, glossy like the skin of a dried onion, and as soft. It shone like the sun. The women could not take their eyes off of him. But of course, there is this to consider. I don't know whether Odysseus wore that dress when he left home. Someone may have given it to him on board. Or some stranger. For Odysseus had many friends, and few of the nation were his equals. I gave him myself a sword and a good folding cloak, and a tunic with a fringe. I showed him all possible respect before he departed. Yes, and he had a herald with him, a little older than he was. I will tell you what he was like. He was a round-shouldered, dark-skinned, and curly-headed, and his name was Eurybides. Odysseus paid him greater regard than any of his companions, because he was an honest, faithful man. How well she knew the things which Odysseus described so exactly. She wept again, and when she had enjoyed another good cry, she spoke to him again. "I was sorry for you before, sir, but now you shall be my friend and my honored guest in this house. I gave him those clothes myself, just as you described them, folded them up and brought them out of the storeroom, and put in that sparkling brooch to please him. But I shall never welcome him again to his home and his native land. It was an evil day when Odysseus entered the ship which was to carry him to that accursed city which I cannot bear to name." Odysseus answered, "Honored lady, do not let the tears spoil your beautiful face. Do not break your heart for your husband's loss. Not that I wonder at it, not at all. Many another woman mourns the loss of the husband of her youth, the beloved father of her children, even if he was one very different from Odysseus, a god among men, as they describe him. Calm yourself, for I have something to tell you, and I will tell it truly without reserve. I have heard that Odysseus is already near home, in the Thesprotian country, alive, with a heap of treasure which he has collected on his travels. But he lost his ship and all the crew on his voyage from the island of Thrinacia. Zeus and Helios were angry because his men killed the cattle of the sun, and so they were all drowned in the deep sea. But he was saved on the ship's keel and cast up on the Phaeacian, that's no way that C is a K. Phaeacian shore. The people of that country are near akin to the gods, and they treated him with a god's honor and heaped their gifts upon him. Indeed, they were ready and eager to bring him home safe and sound. Odysseus would have been here long ago, but he thought it better to go farther and gather more before he returned. You know Odysseus is a man full of schemes, always ready to gain an advantage beyond anyone in the whole world. There never was his match. I will tell you what Phaedon the Cesprotian king told me himself. He swore me an oath with solemn ceremony in his own house, that he had a ship launched and crew ready to see him home safe. But before that happened, I came away in a ship of theirs which chanced to be sailing for Dulichium. Phaedon showed me all that Odysseus had collected. There was treasure belonging to him in the king's palace, enough to keep his sons for 10 generations. The king said he had gone to Dodona in order to hear the will of Zeus from the great oak. How he was to manage his return after his long absence, whether to come openly or secretly. Secretly. And so your husband is safe, and he will come soon. He is very near, not far away, and it will not be long before he returns. I will even swear it upon my oath. Zeus first be my witness, and this hearth of Odysseus where I take refuge. Verily all shall come to pass as I declare. This very licht-gang Odysseus will be here. Licht-gang Odysseus will be here, when the old moon is waning and the new moon is rising. Then the faithful Penelope replied, I pray that this may indeed come to pass. Then you would soon see that I am your friend, and you would be rewarded so as to make anyone envy you. But it is too good to be true. My heart tells me that Odysseus will never return, and you will not have my help on your way. For there is no such master now in this house as Odysseus was alive. As sure as ever he was alive. Sure as ever he was alive, ready to honor a guest without fail, to welcome his coming and to help him on his way. Now then, you maids, wash his feet, and lay a bed with blankets and rugs, that he may sleep warm till the golden dawn. And in the morning, after a bath and a good rubbing down, let him go in with Telemachus and do justice to a good breakfast in the hall. If any one of those men vexes him with his brutality, it shall be the worse for him. He shall not do any good to himself. Let him fret and fume as he likes. For now, how can I show you, my guest, whether I am any better than other women in sense and judgment, if I let you sit down dirty and shabby in my house? Short is the span of a man's life. If anyone has an unkind heart and acts unkindly, all men call down curses upon him while he lives, and when he dies all men give him an evil name. But there is a blameless man with a blameless heart. Guests and strangers carry his fame abroad through all the world, and many call him blessed. Odysseus answered, Honored lady, rugs and blankets are hateful to me ever since I sailed across the sea from the snowy mountains of Crete. I will lie now as I was used to spend my sleepless nights. For many a night I have spent on a rough bed waiting for the dawn. I care nothing for the washing of my feet. No woman shall touch a foot of mine. None of all the servants in your house, unless there is some old woman you can trust, someone who has suffered as much as I have. I would not mind her touching my feet. Penelope replied, My dear guest, no one so discreet as you has ever come to my house, of all the visitors who have come from foreign lands. All that you say is right and true, and could not be better. I have an old nurse, a worthy, sensible woman, who nursed that unhappy man and handled him in her arms as a baby. Indeed, she took him from his mother when he was born. She shall wash your feet, although there's little strength left in her hands. Come here, Euryclee. Get up, you clever old dear, and wash your master's ears mate. I should not wonder if Odysseus has hands like his and feet like his. Men quickly grow old in evil days. The old nurse covered her face with her hands, and burst into tears as she cried in lamentable tones, "Well away, my love, and what can I do for thee? Zeus must have hated thee more than any man alive, for all thy God-fear and mind. Never a mortal man so careful to do his service and sacrifice to the Lord of Thunder, and all a prayed for was to live to golden age in comfort, and bring up his fine son. But now God has robbed him of his return. Alone among them all, the women would mock at him, also in foreign parts. When I came to a stranger's door, just as these bitches all mock at thee, sir. And that's why Dad not let 'em touch thee with their flouts and jeers. But I'm reet willing to do what my lady bids, and thy own sake too, for I am strangely moved. Listen now, think of this. Many a wayworn stranger has come to these doors, but I do declare I never set eyes on one so like my master as the beast. Looks and voice and feet and all." Odysseus answered, "True, mother. That's what everyone says who has seen us both. We are very much like each other, as you have noticed yourself." The old woman brought a basin, half, filled it with cold water, then poured in hot water and got ready to wash his feet. But Odysseus quickly moved away from the fireplace and turned his back to the light, for he had just remembered something. He was afraid she might touch the scar of an old wound, and everything might come out. This was a wound made by the tusk of a wild boar. Odysseus had gone up Mount Parnassus to visit his mother's father, Autolycus, and his family. Autolycus was one who could cajole any man alive on his bodily oath. A god gave him this faculty, the god Hermes himself, for he won the god's favor by his burnt offerings of sheep and goats, and therefore the god was glad to befriend him. Autolycus came once on a visit to Ithaca, and found his daughter's son a newborn baby. As he was finishing supper, Eurycles laid the child on his knees and said, "Do ye think of a name, sir, to give thy daughter's son? Indeed, he is a child of many prayers." Autolycus answered, "My son and my daughter, I will tell you what name to give this child. I have been at odds with many in my life on Mother Earth, both men and women. Let his name then be the man of all odds, Odysseus. For I promise you that when he grows up and comes to visit his mother's home on Parnassus, where I have a great house full of wealth, I will give him some of it and send him home happy." That was the reason why Odysseus paid that visit, to get those promised gifts. Autolycus and his sons greeted him with hand-claspings and friendly words. Amphithea, his mother's mother, threw her arms round him and kissed his head and his two beautiful eyes. Autolycus called out for dinner, and his sturdy sons lost no time in bringing a 5-year-old bullock. They skinned it and carved it up, and put the pieces neatly upon the spits, broiled the meat to a turn, and divided the portions. Then they spent the rest of the day in feasting until sundown, and everyone had a good share. When the sun set and darkness came on, they went to bed and enjoyed the blessed gift of sleep. As soon as the first rosy fingers of dawn showed through the mists, they sailed out to hunt, men and dogs together, and Odysseus went with them. They climbed the forest-clad hills of Parnassus and soon came into its breezy valleys. The sun had risen out of the smooth surface of the deep-flowing ocean, and it was just touching the fields when the huntsman came to a glade. The hounds were in front casting for a trail, and the sons of Odysseus behind. Odysseus was close upon the hounds with a long spear in his hand. There, in a dense thicket, lay a great boar. No damp wind was strong enough to blow through that thick scrub. The blazing sun could not pierce it, nor rain drop through, and the ground was buried deep in leaves. The boar was aroused by the trampling of men and dogs. Out he came from the bushes and faced them, his neck bristling and his eyes flashing fire. There he stood close to them, and Odysseus in front of the rest ran at him, pointing the spear to deal him a blow, but the boar charged sideways and struck him first, above the knee. The tusk glanced off the bone and cut a long gash through the flesh. Then Odysseus got home on the right shoulder, and the sharp blade ran right through. The boar fell with a grunt and died. The young men looked after Odysseus, and bound up the brave boy's wound with care and skill. They stopped the blood with a charm, and brought him back at once to their father's house. Odysseus and the sons of Odysseus nursed him. Odysseus and the sons of Odysseus nursed him and cured him, and sent him away happy with a heap of handsome gifts to Ithaca. His father and mother were glad to see him again, and asked about the wound. He told the story at length, how he had gone hunting with the young men, and a boar had torn him with his tusk. All this passed through the mind of Odysseus, as the old nurse touched him with the palm of her hand, and felt the scar. She knew him, and dropped the leg, which fell in the basin with a clang, so that all the water was spilt. Joy and sorrow together filled her heart. The tears rose in her eyes. Her voice choked, but she touched his chin and said, "Surely that my baby, and I never knew thee till I had felt my master all over." As she said this, she looked towards Penelope, eager to show that her beloved husband was there in the house, but Penelope noticed nothing, for Athena had turned her mind far away. Then Odysseus caught hold of the woman's throat with his right hand, and with his left he drew her closer as he whispered, "Annie, did I want to destroy me? You nursed me at your own breast, and now, after sore tribulations, after 20 long years, I have come back to my hand. Well, since you have found me out, and that is the will of God, silence. Another soul must know, or I tell you plainly, and I will do it, too, if God grants me to master these violent men. Not spare even you, my nurse. I will kill the other women in this house." The faithful old woman answered, "Eh, love, what a thing to say! Thou know'st my temper's stubborn and stiff. I'll be as hard as stone or iron. And hark a minute, when thou'st down those lordly merry-me-quicks, I'll tell thee over all the women in the house, which of them besmirch thee, and which are innocent." Odysseus said, Why will you talk to them, Nanny? There is no need of that. I will take note of every one of them, and find out for myself. You keep a quiet tongue. Leave the rest to God." The old woman went out to get some more water, for it was all spilt. When the washing and rubbing was done, Odysseus drew his seat nearer the fire to warm himself, and pulled his rags over the scar. Then his faithful wife began to speak. "My guest," she said, "there is another thing I will ask you on my own account, for it will soon be time to rest. if anyone is not too unhappy to enjoy the sweet boon of sleep. But my lot is infinite mourning. All day long my only pleasure is tears and sorrow, while I look to my work in the house and the servants. And when night comes, and the others take their rest, I lie in my bed with a throbbing heart while sharp cares torment my sorrow. You know that bird of the greenwood, who was once the daughter of Pandarus, now the nightingale? How lovely is her song in the early springtime! How she sits perched among the thick leaves of a tree and pours out her full notes with many a trill. She is mourning for her dear boy, Italus, King Zithus' son, whom she killed one day herself with a knife and knew it not. So my heart is torn in two. I ask myself, shall I stay with my boy and keep all safe, my possessions, my women, and this great towering house? Shall I respect my husband's bed and the people's talk? Or shall I cast in my lot with the best man who offers himself and brings a handsome settlement? So long as my son was a child and careless, he kept me from marrying and leaving my husband's house. But now he is a great boy and quite grown up. See how he begs me to go back where I came from, because he is anxious about his inheritance, which these people are eating up. But please listen to my dream and say what it means. There are 20 great geese about the place which come out of the water to be fed, and it warms my heart to watch them. But a great eagle from the mountains swooped down and broke their necks with his curving claws and killed them. There they lay in a heap on the ground, while the eagle soared up into the sky. I shrieked and cried aloud. I mean in my dream, and a crowd of women gathered about me as I wept bitterly because the eagle had killed my geese. Back came the eagle again and perched on the free end of a roof beam, and spoke to me with a human voice. Take courage, thou daughter of far-famed Icarius. This is no dream, but a waking vision of good which will surely be fulfilled. These geese are those who woo thee, and I, who was lately an eagle, am now come as thine own husband, and I will bring a dreadful death upon them all. Then I awoke, and peering about I saw the geese as usual beside their trough, pecking away at the wheat corns. Odysseus answered, My lady, it is impossible to interpret the dream in any other way, since you see Odysseus himself has told you what he means to do. Death is there for your wooers plain to see. They shall all die, and not one shall escape. Penelope said, The truth is, we don't know how to deal with dreams. What they tell us is uncertain, and they do not all come true, for there are 2 different gates which let out the shadowy dream. One is made of horn, one of polished elephant's tooth. For there are 2 different gates which let out the shadowy dreams. One is made of horn, one of polished elephant's tooth. The elephant's tooth is full of untruth, so that any dreams which there come through never come true. But carven horn is ne'er forsworn, And if anyone has a dream which came by that gate, it tells him the truth. Now I fear this strange dream did not come through the gate of horn. If it were so, welcome indeed it would be to me and my son. And I must tell you something more, which I wish you to bear in mind. The evil day is about to dawn, which will cut me off from the house of Odysseus, for I mean to set up a contest, those axes which that man used to set up along the hall like trestles for a ship's keel, 12 in a row. Then he would stand a good way off and shoot an arrow through. This is the contest I will set up for the company. Whoever shall most easily bend the bow with his own hands, and then shoot an arrow right through the 12 axe heads, I will cast in my lot with him, and I will leave this house of the husband of my youth, this noble place of abundance, which I think I shall still remember even in my dreams. Odysseus answered, Noble lady, Put off no longer this contest in your house, for Odysseus will return here ready for all events. Before these men shall handle the bow and string it and shoot through the iron heads. Penelope spoke once more and said, My guest, if you would be willing to sit beside me in this hall and comfort me, no sleep would ever fall upon my eyes. But mankind cannot do without sleep altogether, and the gods have given each thing its place in the life of mortal men on Mother Earth. Well, I will go up to my chamber and lie down once more upon my bed. Indeed, it has been a bed of tears for me, ever since Odysseus left me to visit accursed Ilion, which I can hardly bear to name. I will lie down there, and do you lie somewhere. Put your things on the ground, and lay you a bed. So saying, she went up to her chamber, and the two waiting women went with her. Then she lay down mourning still for her dear husband, until Athena cast a deep sleep on her eyelids. Holy moly. Well, there you go. I think I see Odysseus' game here. He's going to go ahead and sign up for this contest, and then he's going to be the one. But is that going to come before or after he's, like, killed everyone? Or we'll have to wait and see what happens in Book 20, XX. Whoa, we're really getting there. How God sent omens of the wrath to come. How God sent omens of the wrath to come. Oh, great. Now God's going to go get involved. Here we go. That's all we need. All right, we'll check you next time.